Try fast and always free drive up at Target.
I know I can count on you. You got love. 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 Sometimes I feel like saying, Lord, I just don't care.
Pandora. Loves. Unboxed.
Vision insurance doesn't do you any good if you don't use it. Just like this treadmill I bought that I keep saying I'll use, but never do. Yeah. Put your vision insurance to good use. Get 50% off your second pair. Book an exam today.
We've been leading it since day one. Nothing held back. All for the love of soccer.
For me, in my head right now, the most important matchup is the first one, and not necessarily the opponent, but just the first opportunity for us to step out there in this new era as a team, just to kind of show the world like what we're about and what we've been working on this off season.
We've kind of thrown everything at them, pressure-wise, situation-wise, and tremendous growth, like day by day, tremendous growth.
Everything is held to the highest standard, but they've really seen that as a good challenge and they bought in, and I think they're starting to see the results.
They've really pushed us to a whole nother level that we've never seen before, which is really exciting as a team. We're just believing that they know what's best for us and they're going to push us to our goals and to the newest heights that we could possibly reach.
The one thing I've seen that has impressed me most, I would say, is their ability to realize every day that they can do hard things.
We're the underdogs, and it's going to be really exciting to prove to people what we can do. Coming off of last year, maybe we're not that talked about, and so I think it'll be really cool to show people all the hard work and dedication that we've put in the past few months, and it'll be cool to see that come to light.
It's going to be different than anything it was before. That's what Iowa State, the athletic department, this university was looking for when they brought me in, and they're definitely going to get that. We've got so many athletes that have stepped out and built that confidence. I think you're going to see some new faces, ones that have been here, but just maybe have never really gotten an opportunity to compete.
And then also our freshman class, they brought a new fire and competitive edge to the rest of our team. They've really elevated the competitiveness within the team in order to make those lineups.
Everyone is a role model themselves. I think overall we have a very solid team and everyone's one to look up to.
Iowa State fans and the Cyclone Nation, they're going to like what they see from this team, and we're going to give them something that they can be proud of.
Live sport.
The Big 12 ranks. Take a look at some of the scores. I don't know if there's anything in particular that stands out to you, Larry. I guess the one I would comment on is Baylor with a big win over Texas down in Austin. A very impressive victory for the Baylor Lady Bears.
And I would agree with you on that one, especially since Texas, without Rory Harmon, they still hung tough with the Bears.
Well, and Rory Harmon really makes that team go, so probably not all that surprising that the Texas offense and defense probably disrupted a little bit without their leader.
And speaking of Baylor, they have the player of the week in the Big 12 Conference. She is a transfer from Kentucky.
Well, we'll get a good look at some nice Jada Walker highlights here. As you can see on your screen, 19 points, 8 of 13 from the field. These Baylor teams always athletic. She's a really nice addition to the Baylor squad this year.
And the Iowa State Cyclones, of course, have been led by a lot of talented freshmen. One of them, Audie Crooks, is for the second time this season the freshman of the week in the conference.
In the first half of this game, we've talked so much about the Iowa State freshman class. And Audie is a big part of that class and a big part of that that success. Congratulations to her with her second Big 12 Freshman of the Week recognition. Really nice contributions by several Cyclones in a tough place to play down in Stillwater.
Certainly was, and she made some clutch contributions down the stretch. Now, let's look at more interesting matchups in the Big 12.
And I think as these coaches and players start to acclimate to new arenas, new coaching staffs, new teams, of course with the transfer portal, teams change more and more from year to year, but definitely some exciting action to look forward to. And as you can see on the bottom of the screen, Iowa State will head to Provo for the first time. That'll be a new matchup for Coach Finley and his squad. Texas at Virginia, West Virginia, I think that's an exciting matchup. West Virginia really turned over Kansas a lot down in Lawrence this last week, and they looked really good. That's a new coaching staff, a slightly different style of play. I think that's a big challenge for Texas, considering, again, they don't have that primary ball handler, Rory Harmon.
Back with more at halftime right after these messages.
Tees, underwear, because your basic things should be your best things. As always, one purchased equals one donated. Visit bombas.com and get 20% off your first order.
Popeye's new chicken wings make no sense. Marinated in the wheat.
Halftime at Hilton Coliseum, the Jayhawks and Cyclones are each with 24 points, and Kansas has never been tied in a half thus far this year. Iowa State 1-2 when they have been tied at halftime. Let's take a look at the stats.
Well, and a couple things stand out to me. Coach Snyder talked about rebounding. He said that's a statistic that we can't get destroyed. Iowa State already up 6 in that category. Really, I think the difference from my perspective is the second quarter in that field goal shooting. Iowa State 6 of 10 from the field. They knocked down a triple finally, but Kansas, plenty of looks at the field because they've taken good care of the basketball. 2 of 16 in that second quarter. Those are a couple of things. Both teams balanced scoring. Kansas has not had anyone score off the bench yet in this half.
And to further amplify the Kansas shooting woes, they hit 5 of their first 8 and now 4 of their last 22.
Well, they were on fire. I mean, the first 5 to 8 minutes of this game, they were really, really good. It just cooled off considerably. And sometimes if you're not hitting on the offensive end, it can affect your defense, and that might be something that Kansas, they had such amazing defensive intensity and enthusiasm in that first quarter, but you start to miss some shots, maybe you start to get down, a couple players are out of the rotation because of some foul trouble. It seemed to affect them.
Let's check out our first half highlights.
Well, we're going to key in on a couple of freshmen. Not surprisingly that we'll talk about these couple of players, but Samaya Nichols,
who also just came in,
who makes something out of nothing here, kind of a broken play, and she is able to make something happen. And here's just a nice little pull-up jumper from about 17 to 19 feet out. And Ani Crooks, you can see the nice hands by the freshman and her versatility. That little runner off of one foot, exactly like Iowa State drew it up on their opening possession. And good look at her smooth hands and footwork on the inside. Addie Brown, always very unselfish, likes to find her fellow freshman button for the easy look.
A lot of coaches will tell you that she has some of the softest hands they've ever seen. She doesn't fumble the pass very often. Iowa State ends the second quarter on a 6-0 run, and they hold Kansas to 7. They hold Kansas to 7 points in the second quarter, which is the lowest one-quarter total for Kansas this year. Previous low, 9 against UConn. Let's take a look at some other games.
Well, we're taking a look at this, a live look at TCU and Baylor down in Waco. Now, this is the TCU team, new head coach this season. They're off to a 14-0 start, have a number of transfers by way of the transfer portal, and they are looking to make some noise in the Big 12 Conference. They are not looking for a rebuilding effort over a number of years, and that's what the transfer portal can allow you to do. For new coaches, it can allow you to come in really quickly, change some bodies in and out, and really provide that spark.
Interesting note on TCU, though. This is their first real road game of the season.
Probably wanted to get some confidence by a new team, new coaching staff. It's very interesting what coaching staffs choose to do with their non-conference schedules from a scheduling standpoint.
Iowa State has only had one lead in this ball game, and that was a half minute into the first quarter at 2. They have a chance to take their second lead right here as Crooks turns and gets fouled by Jackson, and that for Tiana Jackson is foul number 3.
Not surprising that Iowa State goes right at her on that opening possession.
Audie Crooks, who played in the smallest division of Iowa high schools, 1A, and people wondered if she could make the transition as a freshman to Division I basketball. Well, she's done a magnificent job of thus far, and as we said earlier, second time this year she is the freshman of the week in the Big 12.
Well, Coach Finley talked to us about Tiana Jackson and what she can do on the defensive end to just change game planning and take teams out of what they want to do. We're going to keep her in this lineup, Coach Snyder, that is.
Brooks coming off a 21-point effort against Oklahoma State on Saturday. Jayhawks find themselves down for just the second time in the ballgame. Kersgeter pitches it for Nichols. Shot clock is inside 8, and the shot in and out by Franklin, but the offensive rebound taken down by Samaya Nichols. She plays point guard, but her coach says really she can play all positions and does a lot of different things rather than just exclusively point for Kansas.
She would have been fun to watch in high school. I can only imagine how she dominated the competition with that versatility, with her strength.
Jackson with 3 fouls remains on the floor for Kansas. And the other Jackson, Brianna Jackson, with a miss from the 3-point line, and she looking for her first points to ball again after that 14-point effort at Oklahoma State. And the shot goes down.
Mayberry with the bucket. Those are the 2 players, Mayberry and Jackson for Kansas, who spent some time on the bench with 2 personal fouls apiece in the first half. Getting them back in the lineup sure makes this Kansas team a lot more comfortable.
Jackson spots up on the 3 and nails it, her 13th this season. And the Cyclones with a 3-point advantage as Kansas comes up the floor with 8:15 left to play in quarter number 3. Kansas looking for their first win at Hilton Coliseum since 2015. They lost their last 8 visits to Ames. Kersgeter, switch on defense. Jackson picks her up. Shot clock down to 8. Into the lane comes Franklin. Brown reaches for it and forces the travel. Big defense that time by Addie Brown.
Well, this Kansas squad knocked down shots in that first quarter. They knocked down 3-point shots, and when they went cold, they haven't really been able to figure out what's their go-to play. Who's their go-to player? Nice replay on a recent 3-pointer by Ariana Jackson.
Jackson, who had that good performance at Oklahoma State, her family was able to watch her. Her brothers played football at Iowa State, and they had been in Memphis at the Liberty Bowl, and they originally thought they'd just come straight back to Iowa. They thought, well, you know, Stillwater only 7 hours from Memphis, so why not drive over there? And they were treated to her best game as a college player this far.
Nice little detour, just, hang a left.
And keep going a long way, 7 hours worth. So that late change that her mom, dad, a couple of brothers, and a girlfriend of one of the brothers got to watch her in Stillwater. Dew looking for 3, and the rebound is snared by Notaboo.
What a great effort by Nellie Notaboo and also Addie Brown on that offensive rebound.
And Hannah Bellinger knocks down her second 3 of the ballgame, and the Cyclones take their biggest lead.
And Nellie Notaboo gets credit for that rebound, working awfully hard in there, but Addie Brown makes her presence known on the glass. She is hard to keep off the glass on the offensive end of the floor.
Mayberry gets that on top to Papadopoulou, and now Kersgeter knocks down the 3, and that's something she is known for, the top 3-point shooter for the Jayhawks. She has 3 threes in this ballgame.
The Cyclones have done a pretty good job limiting her touches. She's only attempted 5 shots from the floor.
Naimir Dew stopped there by Nichols. Outside it comes to Jackson, who knocks down her second 3 in a row. So after a quiet first half, Ariana Jackson has hit 2 threes back-to-back.
You can see her confidence building in a Cyclone uniform.
The Cyclones, who trailed by 11 early in the second quarter, now have their biggest lead, up by 6. Open look for the left-hander. Franklin, and it won't go. And the rebound cleared by Nadabu. And another three by Hannah Bellinger. That's her third three, her second in the quarter. The Cyclones have raced to a 9-point lead, and Brandon Schneider will use a Kansas timeout. You're watching college basketball on Big 12 Now on ESPN+.
For bananas.
Set as Cobbins gets the ball to Papadopoulou, and she misfires that time. And coming up with a rebound is Jackson. Iowa State really in command since about the 7-minute mark in the second quarter. Here's Crooks fighting her way inside, misfiring, and in the battle for the rebound, a foul is called, and it will go against Crooks.
Papadopoulou does a nice job of defensive position and then also that defensive rebounding position for Kansas.
Time out on the court. Cyclones lead it by 11. You're watching college basketball on Big 12 Now on ESPN+.
For the love of football, for the love of La Liga. We've been living it since day one. Glorious, beautiful, true. Nothing held back. All for the love of soccer. Top leagues and tournaments. Best stories in sports. On ESPN+.
Cyclones have their biggest lead at 42-31. Hannah Bellinger, 10 points in the third quarter alone.
What a great job by the senior. The dietetics major at Iowa State. That's a big part of the reason why she wanted to come to Iowa State is for that dietetics interest of hers.
And a straight A student, by the way.
Yeah, that is not an easy major, so kudos to her and for what she is doing from an academic perspective. That'll set her up well for the future.
Kansas having to play without Jackson. Diana Jackson with 4 fouls, so she's on the bench as the long three won't go by Mayberry. And Iowa State doing a good job on the boards at rebounding Kansas, now 25-17. Bellinger still hot. Bellinger with her 4th three. She's got 16 points, and that's a new career high for her at Iowa State.
And what a heads-up play by Addie Brown, and really just a play drawn up by Iowa State to put Bellinger over in the corner, trying to get that defense to sink in, and they do exactly what they wanted them to do.
Mayberry tries to answer with the three and can't. Nichols knocks it away from Brown. It's Cyclone ball. So everybody talks about, around Iowa State, about the Fab Five. It's actually a transfer senior who's doing the damage tonight, right now for Iowa State. Hannah Bellinger from Grafton, Wisconsin. Again, 2-time All-American at Truman State. Her first year as a Cyclone. She races into the backcourt to retrieve that one. Shot clock is at 12. Bellinger loops it inside for Crooks. Crooks too hard off the glass. And the rebound is grabbed by Papadopoulou, who is from Greece, her 3rd year in a Kansas uniform. And there's an offensive foul. Foul called against Franklin. And Zachariah Franklin with her first foul.
With those 16 points, this is a new season high for Hannah Bellinger. Now, she had some bigger games scoring-wise down at Truman State, but congratulations to her. Scored 15 against North Dakota State.
Yeah, she had a 36-point game against Upper Iowa when she was at Truman State. But yeah, this is a very impressive performance for her. Addie Brown will bring it back to the outside. Brown now looks in, fires instead over Papadopoulou, and the rebound is grabbed by Nadabu, and she gets fouled.
Nellie Nadabu played high-level basketball out of Sacramento State, but it's not the Big 12 conference. And you can tell a last handful of games, it just seems like she's gaining more confidence, becoming more comfortable with the speed of the game.
Bellinger finally misses. First miss of the third quarter. The ball goes out of bounds, and it will stay on the Iowa State end because it was a foul called, actually.
Kansas with those team fouls. Iowa State now in the bonus. The remainder of this third quarter.
Second foul on Franklin. Jalen Bristow to the line. Bristow has been a good free throw shooter, 14 out of 18 prior to that. Went to Holiday High School in Wichita Falls, Texas. They were the 3A champs in her senior year. She was the tournament MVP. And admitted a little bit of homesickness early in her time at Iowa State. Said she had to get adjusted to things, but she has certainly and fit in well in the Cyclone program.
Well, freshman year college is hard no matter what. But playing basketball at this high level, the schedule, the demands of these student athletes.
Cyclones by 15, their biggest lead. Inside 3 minutes, third quarter. Dobbins finds Franklin. Franklin puts the ball to the floor against Ryan. The shot knocked down from three-point range by Samaya Nichols. Nichols, the very talented freshman, the only freshman starter for Kansas, along with 4 seniors. But she was highly recruited, and she has lived up to all expectations. Takeaway and finish by Kurzgeter, and she is fouled. Kurzgeter with a chance at a three-point play, in which he's hoping will trigger a Jayhawk turnaround.
Well, Iowa State has shot the basketball much better in this third quarter, but they've also taken better care of the basketball. That was just their first turnover of this third quarter. Coach Finley talked about not wanting to turn the basketball over in live ball situations, and that would be an example of a live ball turnover right there, where you get the basketball up in the backcourt, and the opposing team has an opportunity to go the length of the floor and convert.
And that first turnover after 10 in the first half. Kurzgeter now with 14 points, and the Jayhawks cut the Cyclone lead to single digits. Emily Ryan, again, playing limited time, coming back from an injury, just her 4th game back. She handles the basketball, goes around the screen, set by Nadabu, feeds Nadabu, whose hook shot rims in. Nelly Nadabu with her 5th point. Inside 2 minutes left to play in the third quarter. Jayhawks looking for some spark offensively. They have struggled. Here's a team that averages 70 points a ball game, held to just 37 so far late in the third quarter. Cyclones get called for a foul. And it's the third foul called in the quarter against Iowa State. Nichols looks to trigger. Gets the ball right back. Franklin puts a move on Ryan, goes inside, misses it, but a foul whistle. And it's going to go against the Jayhawks.
Nice job by Hannah Bellinger stepping over and taking that charge.
A foul gives Iowa State possession with 1:16 left to play in the quarter. Double dribble called against Nelly Nadabu, who turns to official Mike McConnell and says, what did I do? Well, McConnell says you did. Double dribble. So it's Kansas basketball. Just the second turnover in the second half against Iowa State.
Nice job on the defensive end by Papadopoulou. She has been called upon to do much more in this game than is typical, with Tiana Jackson in foul trouble for much of this game.
Be interesting to see when Brandon Schneider feels it's safe to bring her back, because they really need her. Traveling violation called against Tubbins. And with exactly a minute to go in the third quarter, it's Iowa State basketball up by 11. Ryan, Bellinger, Brown, Dew, and Nadabu on the court for Iowa State. Franklin reaches in, can't get a steal. Ryan protecting the basketball well. Shovels inside. Nadabu on the turnaround and rolls off the rim, and the rebound controlled by Nichols. 10-second differential, shot clock, and the third quarter clock as Nichols puts in against the defense of Bellinger. Franklin spots up on a three. Misses it badly, but inside Chris Huger almost got it back. Now the Cyclones come back with time to run down the shot clock. It's off and play for the last shot of the quarter.
What a heads-up play there by Emily Ryan. She had already been paying close attention to that game clock. Caught the basketball, took one step. She knew they were holding for one.
Ryan into the lane, spins, fires, leaves it short at the horn. At the end of three quarters, Iowa State takes a 48-37 advantage over Kansas into the fourth quarter. You are... The coaches have done a lot of work in the summer, and I'm sure this is true of every team in the Big 12, learning where to stay, when to travel, how does the altitude affect you if you go, for example, to Provo. Interesting things that the coaches think about.
Well, these teams start to have routines, and when you go to Provo for the first time, you don't have the routine that maybe you've had in years past.
Hersgeter had that stolen by Bellinger.
They almost feel like non-conference games a little bit in this first year.
Bellinger moving it quickly to two. He knocks down the three. So in this Iowa State program that had hit threes in 906 consecutive games prior to tonight, got only one in the first half, but the second half's been a totally different story.
Well, they were cold early on, but now 8 of 17 from beyond the arc for the game. Really turned things around in a hurry.
Mayberry to Franklin. Franklin's three won't go, and Addie Brown pulls down the rebound. Her 9th rebound of the ballgame. Brown with 6 double-doubles in her first year in college. That shot is short and out of bounds going to KU. Jayhawks will stay on the road for their next game. They're at Texas Tech on Saturday afternoon. And as you mentioned, the Cyclones go to Provo for the first time.
Well, in Iowa State, most of these teams still not back in school for a couple of weeks yet, so good opportunity for these teams to get used to the routine that comes along with Big 12 play and travel.
Brown pokes it away from Nichols and dives to the floor to get it, and the tie ball gives it to the Cyclones. Annie Brown's doing a lot of things that don't always show up in the box score. I mean, she's got plenty that show up in the box score, 5 points, 9 rebounds, but defensively she's done some nice things as well for Iowa State.
Well, she's just always around the basketball, always around the action.
Emily Ryan, 2-time All-Big 12 performer, hands it off to Nymir Dew. Addie Brown back to the basket against Nichols. It'll give and go to Crooks, and Crooks draws a foul, and she will go to the line, and the foul whistled against Didai Papadopoulou.
Well, you can read Addie Crooks' read her lips there, saying finish, finish, finish.
That will be the 4th foul against Papadopoulou. Crooks, looking for her 8th point of the night, comes in averaging 16.5, 7th best in the Big 12. She's also hit 67% of her shots from the field. That is 3rd best in the conference.
You can tell Addie Brown has a great deal of confidence in Audie Crooks' her ability to catch and finish at the rim, because there have been opportunities in this game and throughout this first half of the season where Addie could have taken high percentage shots herself, but instead dumped it down to her fellow freshman.
Of course, they call them the Fab Five at Iowa State. The freshman doing a terrific job, and there's a nice 3-point shot that goes down by Zakiya Franklin. That's her 8th point of the ball game, her 2nd 3.
KU looks like going to try to make some things happen on the defensive end, see if maybe they can generate some offense from defense.
They face a 13-point deficit with under 8 minutes in regulation. Ryan, guarded by Samaya Nichols, finds Crooks. Crooks turns, and Jackson is playing with 4 fouls, comes up with a block, and then a scramble for the loose basketball, and Crooks is going to pick up a foul.
A little bit of a frustration foul there out of Audie not being able to finish.
Audie Crooks with her 3rd personal foul. And the Jayhawks look to make a run with 7.5 minutes left in regulation. Nichols pulls up, hits the shot, and gets fouled. A chance at a 3-point play for Samaya Nichols.
Oh, very smooth. Very smooth.
can see why she was so highly touted, can't you?
Yep. And what strength to go up with a decent amount of contact, finish off the rim.
Bellinger getting the foul. Nichols, a 76% free throw shooter, knocks it down. Nichols with 13 points on the night. Bellinger knocks down another three, and that is a Iowa State high for her in threes. And more importantly, with that three-pointer, she now has in her career 2,000 points going back to her years at Truman State.
Congratulations to Hannah. 19 points tonight, 6 of 10. All of those coming from beyond the arc.
Off the glass, the shot won't go down by Franklin. Addie Brown runs down the rebound. She's in double-figure rebounds now with 10. Brown looks for three. She hits it.
Well, it looked like Kansas was going to make things interesting, and Iowa State says not so fast. Back-to-back triples.
And we have a timeout with 6:48 left to play. The Jayhawks find themselves in arrears by 16 as the shot goes down by Addie Brown. You're watching college basketball on Big 12 now on ESPN+.
Congratulations. Very exciting.
Jayhawks with 6:45 to play now have to be in a little bit more of a hurry-up offense. Jackson with 4 fouls remains on the court. Mayberry pitches it out for Nichols, who buries a three. Or Franklin, I should say, and that is her third three in the ballgame.
11 points for Franklin. This Jayhawk squad not going to go away. Franklin with a couple of threes in this fourth quarter.
Ariana Jackson lobs inside for Crooks against Jackson. They're trying to get Jackson, obviously, with that fifth foul, so they're having the ball in Crooks' hands a lot. They go right back to her. She spins, and the violation is spotted. And I believe it was a 3-second violation. So Kansas with the basketball. 6 minutes to play. Tersgeeter gets it back on top to Franklin. Mayberry tries to shake Jackson, and she's going to be called for, one of the two's called for a foul. They got it on Ariana Jackson. She tried to get her position established and couldn't, and picks up her second foul. The crowd didn't like the fact that there looked to be an elbow or a bump there that was initiated by Mayberry, but the officiating crew didn't see it that way. Outstanding officiating crew tonight, Dee Cantor, who's in her 40th year officiating college basketball. Michael McConnell and Brian Garland with us tonight. And the second free throw spins out. For Mayberry, 1 out of 2 at the line. Cyclones with a 12-point lead as we go under 6 minutes. Brown looked like she may not have been ready or expecting the pass. It was slapped away by Mayberry, and she finishes what she started. She steals at one end, scores at the other.
Well, Coach finally going to put Emily Ryan back in the game. Maybe want her veteran leadership and heady presence.
Big turnover that time. Mayberry gets the basket, and Kansas back to within 8 at 59-51, and the Jayhawks fighting their way back into this one after they trailed by 16 points at the start of this quarter.
Well, like I said, Emily Ryan coming back into the lineup. Coach Finley wants that comfortability back at the helm for Iowa State. Just give Ariana Jackson maybe a little bit of a breather. She had a foul called on her, had a turnover. This Kansas team is very good on the defensive end. We saw what they could do defensively in that first quarter. They were so good, and it really seemed to generate offense and lead to some more confidence on the offensive end. Is that maybe what we're seeing here?
You know, we started our telecast talking about a veteran Kansas squad, one of the most experienced in the country, and a young Iowa State squad, one of the youngest in the country. I think this last 5:20 will tell you how much of a factor experience is versus youth.
Well, KU with an 8-0 run, hit their last 3 shots from the floor. Iowa State with 3 turnovers during that time. I mean, we know this is a Kansas team. They have a lot to play for. This is a big game for them.
And the team that was picked to finish third in the Big 12, they don't want to start 0-2, obviously.
Exactly. We knew that they would be very hungry. They still have another road game after this. They head down to Lubbock, so we knew that they would not go away.
Cyclones taking a little bit of time off the clock on this possession. The ball goes inside to Crooks, who can't knock it down, and Jackson's there for the rebound. Nichols spins her way into the lane. The basketball is knocked loose. Big scramble for it. Tie ball, and it will stay in the Jayhawk end with 4:51 to play.
Audi Cooks just couldn't quite finish on that last possession for Iowa State. She typically shoots 67% from the field, but you can tell that the bigger defensive presence by 6'6" Jackson may be causing some challenges for Audi. She's 3 of 10 from the floor today.
Crooks out, Nanabu in. Jackson fields the inbounds pass. Mayberry works against Bellinger. Nice pass inside. Jackson turns and scores.
Great finish over her right shoulder, finishing with the left.
Her first point since the first quarter. And it's a 6-point ball game as Kansas has fought their way back into this one. Foul called against Samaya Nichols.
Just the second foul of this fourth quarter for Kansas, so a few more fouls before Iowa State will shoot free throws.
Inbound speed knocked away by Nichols from Bellinger. Ryan will trigger. Mayberry defending her on the out-of-bounds play. Here's Ryan going underneath the basket, looking for some help. Pitches it back outside to Brown. Brown makes a move on Nichols, freshman against freshman, and she scores. Addie Brown now has her 7th double-double in just her 13th college game.
I love the confidence and the moxie of an Addie Brown. She knows her team needs a bucket. She can make something out of nothing and just take her defender one-on-one all the way to the hoop.
Jackson fouled by Nadabu. So obviously, while Jackson, with 4 fouls, remains in the ballgame, Iowa State's wanting to defend her and try to get that 5th foul, but the Jayhawks wanting to feed her at the offensive end. Diana Jackson, one of the all-time greats in Kansas history, nearing 1,000 points in her career. She's number 2 already in career blocks at Kansas. About to enter the top 10 in rebounding. Drops home the free throw. Kansas not at the line many times tonight, just their 7th and 8th tries. That one spins off. And the ball rolls out of bounds and it belongs to the Cyclones.
Iowa State with a pretty comfortable lead for much of that third quarter and first part of the fourth quarter, but Kansas certainly making things interesting.
They go to full court pressure, but Ryan gets into the offensive end to do. Here's Addie Brown on the attack. Addie Brown with 12 points and 10 rebounds, her 7th double-double. Here's Mayberry taking it to the paint. Brown comes out with a rebound, and it's knocked away from her in a tie ball. I believe it was Jackson who tied her up, which was a pretty bold move for a player with 4 fouls.
And the Cyclone faithful in Hilton Coliseum not too pleased.
Yeah, it was Jackson who tied her up, but with 4 fouls. Again, a very bold move by the Kansas senior. But the possession arrow gives it to Iowa State with 3:33 to play. Similar to the game at Oklahoma State for Iowa State, Cowboys made a couple of runs late, but then the Cyclones came up with some big threes in that one. Here's Ryan with a big basket. Just her 2nd in the ballgame, but it's huge for Iowa State. It gives them a double-digit lead.
What a pretty move by the senior Emily Ryan with the reverse on the left side of the hoop. Gorgeous.
Kerskeeter with the miss. Scramble for the rebound. Ball rolls out of bounds. Time Naimir do hit the floor hard, but she bounces right back up. It's a foul called on Kansas, and that will be for Kansas their third foul here in the quarter. Bellinger to inbound against full court pressure. Jackson finds Bellinger. Brown. Dew has to try to run it down, pass a bit wide. Bill Fenley puts his hands to his head, spreads his arms, and so where did that pass come from?
Well, and I was just thinking that Iowa State has handled this pressure defense pretty well, and just about by the time I spit those words out, Iowa State turns the basketball over.
Mayberry, defended by Jackson. The kick comes for Franklin. Franklin forced into a travel. 9-year Dew with a big defensive play for Iowa State.
Nice job, Namir Dew, moving her feet there. Maybe gets away with a little bit of a reach, but officials do not call it.
The other end, Dew finds Brown. 2.5 left to play. Cyclones by 11. Bill Finley saying spread out the floor and use some time off the clock. Shot clock down inside 9. Bellinger leaves it short. Rebound comes to Tiana Jackson. Cross court feed to Franklin. She drives inside to scores. And Aya Franklin connects. She has 8 points in the fourth quarter, trying to lead the Jayhawks back. And we have a timeout with 2:11 left to play. A 9-point ball game.
It's a challenging road ahead for Iowa State as well, but if you can get out to a 2-0 lead in conference play, it certainly makes you head into that tough stretch feeling pretty good about yourselves.
Kansas full court pressure. Bellinger with contact against Mayberry, and Mayberry gets the foul. That will be her third foul, and it's the 14th foul against Kansas. And of course, if you're the Jayhawks, you want to get in this situation where if you need to, you want to be able to force Iowa State to go to the free throw line. Takeaway that time by Mayberry. 2 minutes left to play. Into the lane comes Nichols and hits the shot. Count it. And it'll be an and one opportunity for Samaya Nichols.
Kansas not at a point where they need to start chucking up three-pointers, especially if you can get the basketball all the way to the hoop for a high percentage look and then finish with the old-fashioned three-point play.
Ryan back in for Jackson. Again, Bill Fenley doesn't have a lot of experience to choose from, but he wants a steady senior on the court now.
And Nichols at the free throw line, leading this team scoring-wise this evening. That is her 16th point, 3 points above her season average.
4 of 5 on the night for her from the free throw line. Season high 23 against Wichita State. And this freshman is somebody in the Big 12 that's going to see for a long time and watch her grow into one of the more talented players in the conference. She isn't already. Here's Brown down the lane to the basket, too hard. Crooks with an offensive rebound. She can't get it. But she draws a foul, and Audie Crooks will go to the line as the foul is whistled against Jackson, and that will be number 5 on Tiana Jackson.
And that is where you can see the strength of Addie Crooks and her ability to get into offensive rebounding position, just using her strength and physicality to establish that really amazing offensive rebounding position.
Got to give Tiana Jackson a lot of credit. She played a lot of time, and aggressively so, with those 4 fouls. She had that 4th foul early in the third quarter.
Well, it can be hard when you get into a little bit of foul trouble to find your rhythm again, but she did a really nice job. Like you said, it was early in that third quarter when she picked up her third, but Coach Snyder knows how much better they are with her in the lineup.
She leaves with 9 points, 4 rebounds, and a couple of blocks. Audie Crooks looking to hit double figures. Freshman from Algona, Iowa, misfiring at the free throw line after hitting her first 4 at the stripe. And this would make it a 3-possession game if she can hit this one, and she does. It rolls in and out and back in. So it's a 7-point Iowa State lead with 1:41 to play. Now Crooks will check out.
Yep, sorry, we were just about to say the same thing. Iowa State will put Nelly Nabu in the lineup more for that defense and rebounding position.
And then Crooks will come in probably at the offensive end. Here's Franklin trying to break down Ryan. Franklin turns, fires, and scores. Franklin with a big fourth quarter. She has 10 points in the fourth quarter alone, 15 points in the ballgame.
Expect to see the ball in Emily Ryan's hands a lot. She's such a good free throw shooter. If Kansas fouls her, she would go to the free throw line where she's nearly automatic.
Brown tries to give it over to Ryan on that exchange, but a Jayhawk gets in the way, and that's Nichols committing the foul. So Iowa State's Annie Brown will go to the line where she's hit 71% on the year and 1 of 1 tonight. Brown, who averaged 20 points and 10 rebounds in her senior year at Derby, Kansas, and doing just about the same on the college level, averaging 14.5 points and 9 rebounds. And as we mentioned earlier, 7 double-doubles as she rolls that one in. Brown with 13 points and 12 rebounds.
Iowa State out-rebounding Kansas by 13. So many Cyclones good rebounders. The guard position, what a luxury to have somebody like Addie Brown who rebounds like she does.
Mayberry finds Kurzgeter. Exactly a minute to play. Big block by Ryan. And getting it back is Addie Brown. Ryan comes up with a block. Cyclones don't block a lot of shots. That was huge. And then a timeout taken by Bill Fenley.
Well, particularly at the point guard position. What an athletic move by Emily Ryan. Nice job. Franklin, an athletic player, has made some acrobatic shots tonight. And kudos Emily Ryan just sticking with her there, playing on good defense.
And so with 52 seconds to play, Iowa State with a 6-point lead. They're trying to hand the Jayhawks their second loss in conference play. Kansas has not won at Hilton Coliseum since 2015, and this would be 9 straight losses for them at Hilton Coliseum, and their understanding what Hilton Magic is all about.
Well, and we expected a hard-fought game here in Hilton Coliseum, Big 12 women's basketball. You play 2 games a week, typically that Wednesday, that Saturday. You get into a routine, and it's a lot of games in an 8 to 10 week span. You don't have much time to get too high after big wins. You don't have much time to get too low after a loss or two. So you got to turn the page real quickly. Talk about that short-term memory as what Iowa State will have to do if they can get out of here with a win tonight.
Addie Brown now to inbound. Dew, Bellinger, Jackson, and Ryan making up the rest of the Cyclone 5. It's a lengthy pass. Up for grabs, and somehow coming out with it, unbelievably, was Naimir Dew. Did that look like a Hail Mary? It was interesting because Emily Ryan had gone out of bounds to take the pass, and then Bill Fenley thought, well, let's go into the offensive end with a heave from Addie Brown, but it misfired. Here's Mayberry with a time running down, misfiring from 3. Kurzgeter gets the rebound, but a push is spotted on her. So Iowa State will go to the line with 37 seconds to play, and it's already a 2-possession game. Another free throw makes it a 3-possession game, and it would appear the Cyclones are on their way to victory number 5 in a row.
And they're going to do a couple looks at the free throw line here. Pretty quiet night scoring-wise for Naimir. 5 points, 2 of 4 from the field. 3 rebounds, 4 assists. I'd like some of those other box score statistics that we see out of the senior. Emily Ryan, gosh, what a floor general. 5 assists in just 19 minutes of basketball. Certainly the calming presence that this team needed in some tricky situations.
The Cyclones lost 85% of their minutes from last season. But Ryan stayed, and she, as you said, is the steady hand that really directs this very young team. And the fact that she's nearing full health, about 75% now, key factor for Iowa State in the Big 12 race. Jayhawks are going to go to 0-2 in Big 12 play. Off the baseline, the shot won't go by Nichols. Brown was there to defend, and it's Iowa State basketball with just 26.7 seconds left to play. Kansas started out strong. They led 17-8 at the end of a quarter, but by halftime, the game was tied at 24. In the third quarter, Iowa State had a 9-point lead going to the fourth, and right now it's 7 with 26.7 seconds left to play.
Well, Coach Finley and probably several others here, maybe not quite ready to chalk up a victory, maybe not quite as confident as you are at this point, Larry, but Iowa State will draw something up. They just know Kansas is too good on the defensive end. Iowa State has turned the basketball over 19 times in this game, and some of those coming here late in this fourth quarter when Kansas put on that full court pressure defense. And with a young team, you want to know that you're exactly in the right places. You want to make sure that you're lined up, that you're set up, you're all on the same page as you emerge from the huddle.
Kansas without a timeout. Cyclones have 1 timeout remaining. Ryan inbounds for Iowa State. She finds Brown, and Brown is immediately fouled by Kiersgeter, and that will be her 3rd foul. Addie Brown a moment ago, 1 out of 2 from the free throw line, 2 of 3 on the night. Tries to make it a 3-possession game. Brown, who has a sister in college basketball, plays at Duke after transferring from Oregon State. She has her 14th point. That's a big one, and the Cyclones have a little breathing room right now. An 8-point differential with 24.6 to play. Iowa State not hitting a lot of free throws down the stretch. Nichols puts it up. Rebound, grab by Jackson. And Jackson's going to be fouled by Cobbins. So Ariana Jackson will stroll to the line with just 12 seconds remaining.
6 points, 3 assists for Jackson. Definitely one of the more challenging defensive teams that she has seen in her early Iowa State career. Thought she handled it pretty well.
Bill Finley about to notch the 599th victory at Iowa State for him. So the next one's the magic number for the man who is 9th active coaches in total victories with 764 coming in tonight.
Well, Iowa State 13 of 21 at the free throw line, 62%. Now 13 of 22. That's an area where Iowa State has some opportunity to improve, and maybe doesn't end up being a factor in tonight's game with an 8-point lead. But in games where it's a 3-point game, a 4-point game, Cyclones will need to improve upon that note, but it doesn't matter tonight.
So Iowa State overcomes a slow start to knock off the Kansas Jayhawks 69-61. The Cyclones go to 9-4 overall, 2-0 in the Big 12. The Jayhawks are now 7-6, and they go to 0-2 in Big 12 conference play.